Hi, I'm Kim Kaiser. I'm a minister here, and I'm speaking this morning. So, the topic is, what is the common good? We've been talking about the common good in various ways throughout the month. But I want to point to a metaphysical principle. What we're talking about is happening right now. So throughout this talk, I'm going to be talking about what the common good is, but we are tasting, experiencing, and if you will, bringing into being the common good just by listening, just by being here, just by allowing what is happening to be felt and known. So, the common good has been at the center of our national identity from the very beginning. The whole country started with a statement of what the common good is and why we were seeking it and why we were seeking independence. In the opening paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence, it says this: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now, at that time, and even now, that's a very bold statement. That's an aspiration, that's a goal that is not in line with what the world usually thinks. The desire for a common good, that is, a common good shared by a community and a person, an individual, is an old vision. And the Greek philosopher Aristotle defined the common good this way: a good proper to and attainable only by the community, yet individually shared by its members. The common good requires both individual participation and community participation, nation, this congregation, whatever community. And this nation, in its beginning, chose to follow a vision of the common good. It energized us, it caused us to work together, it gave us the hope of a better future, and it gave us a vision of a new possibility for humankind. In order for us to follow it, some of the people who were involved with it had to believe it was possible. If you don't believe something is possible, how much effort are you going to put into it? I found out about this in a rather striking way, sitting in a service just like this. And the speaker said, you have to have the vision of what you want, and it has to be possible. She said, for instance, if you do not believe that a human being can fly, just sitting there, moving, flying, then how much effort are you going to put into doing that? How much study? And she said, well, you can imagine, none. But then she said, and how about a planet that is at peace? A world that is at peace? Do you really believe it's possible? If you don't, how much effort are you putting into it? And I stopped at that moment because I realized I didn't think that world peace was actually really possible. There's too much going on. There's too much that just doesn't work to have a planet fully at peace. It felt kind of unnatural. But actually, when you begin to study the spiritual traditions, not just this one, but actually all spiritual traditions begin to talk about a realm of existence in which that is so, in which there is peace. But then, after I realized that and began to look at that hidden belief I had, which was that there's no way that peace can be happening on this planet, all around, maybe somewhere, some parts. But then I realized that the teaching, Science of Mind, of which I am a minister, goes way beyond that. This is the vision of Science of Mind of the common good. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Let's stop there a moment. Freedom from discord of any kind for everyone all the time. That's discord in mind, discord in body, discord in relationship, discord in community, discord in life. We believe the ultimate goal is complete emancipation, complete freedom from discord of every nature. Can you imagine what living in a world like this would be like? One teacher of mine says that for real spiritual practice, that you have to have a vision and intention which is greater than your own good. Of course, it has to start with your own good, your own self-improvement, your own fullness, your own wholeness, your own well-being. But that won't be enough to bring you to the core of what reality is asking us to do and be. Because it's not just for the individual, it has to be for the community. And by community, I mean more than human community. I mean ecological community. I mean the world as a community. I mean the universe as a community. So we have to move beyond that individual desire for improvement so that we can get the intensity, the urgency, when we realize that indeed a vision like freedom from discord, emancipation from discord, is possible. Wouldn't you like to deliver that? Wouldn't you like to be the person, the personage through which Spirit is bringing that about? Well, guess what? That's what we're here about. It's going on all the time. And indeed, I'm going to ask you, freedom from discord may not be your vision of what you want to provide the world. Tibetan Buddhists, such as the Dalai Lama, dedicate every spiritual practice they do to the liberation of all beings from suffering. The liberation of all beings from suffering. What is your largest vision? What is the greatest thing that you would like to see brought about on this world? That is the common good. That is what we're here to bring into being. So whatever it is, begin to explore it. And by the way, you'll see quickly that you can't just do this for an individual. Why? Because we are, each of us, not just individuals. You and I are more than a skin-encapsulated ego, as Alan Watts used to say. That at the very center of our being, there is something, in a way in which we actually are connected to each other all the time. While we have one common source, divine wisdom has seen fit to make each an individual. Unity does not mean uniformity. There is unity at the center with infinite variation at the circumference. Can you see it? Can you see now how indeed at the very source of our being is we come from a common source. And at the center it is all one, and as it moves out, it moves into infinite variation, but it all comes from that one. So we're always connected to each other. William James, one of my favorite philosophers and also a major influence in the founding of this movement, said it this way: we are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface, but connected in the deep. Can you feel that? Just let that in. That's how we are all the time. There is never real separation. We're always connected to one another. We are one being. And some of us call it God. Others call it Allah. Others call it Spirit. You choose. But it is the one, it is the source from which we all come. And there is never real separation. Rumi, another favorite of mine, lived in the 13th century, I believe, said it this way: far beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. I was talking with someone during the break between last service and this one, and she said, when I hear those first two sentences, far beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, something opens in her. That's stepping outside of limitation. It's beginning to say, there is a reality, or reality actually is beyond right doing and wrongdoing. If you notice that feeling in you, that's the movement of Spirit opening you. We are in that field right now. We are right now meeting and knowing each other beyond intimacy, beyond knowing the facts of each other's lives, beyond ideas, beyond talking. There's a world within us where we are always living together. This field is that common ground, that same consciousness from which the common good arises. Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of this teaching, called that common ground, that field, mind. And he said this: the mind which you use is the mind which I use. It is the mind which everyone uses. It is the mind of God. Therefore, the mind which you use and which is your mind now is the God mind in you. This mind is in all people, envelops all, and is at the center of everything. Right now, where you're hearing this word within you, the place that responds when someone calls your name, that mind, that one that is understanding, that one that is feeling, that one that is yearning, that one that is living consciously, that is the one mind itself, the mind of God. And it lives, it's the only mind that lives in all of us. We can have imagination about what it is. We can imagine it's something else, but it is the one mind. Therefore, we all share the same mind. We are in constant touch with each other. We can influence each other. What we do and say is felt throughout that one mind. And this is the basis on which our practitioners pray for all of us. Believing that there is one mind common to all individuals, the spiritual mind practitioner realizes that no matter where the clients are, they may be reached and helped. And this process, practitioners think within themselves for the clients. Thinking within yourself affects the whole world, affects reality beyond time and space. the one that lives as you is right now moving, extending, in contact with all that is. And it's right in the center of you. Reality itself, all of nature wants us to know this. It wants us to know that what we are is being felt by and having an effect on all being. And Ernest Holmes wrote about it this way: all nature conspires to produce and manifest the freedom of the individual, that it may unloose its own energy. So imagine reality itself is in a conspiracy, is using all the resources it has so that you can be free to be you completely, not living with limitation, not living with fear, not living with discord of any kind. It's conspiring to produce and manifest that freedom. Why? So that it may move freely, so that no part of it is under the illusion that it can't move freely. All of reality, all of creation, all of nature is focused on giving you complete freedom. Anything which imprisons your spirit is what the conspiracy is conspiring to get rid of. So how can we join the conspiracy? How can we help it succeed? Here's a suggestion. Give up any belief you have that says you have to resist its help. Any idea you have that for instance, I have to do it myself. Nobody can do it as well, besides it's my responsibility, etc., 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 right? I have to do it myself. Sometimes I'd rather do it myself. So the hidden belief here is that I have to earn my good. I have to do something to earn my place on this planet. Otherwise, I won't have a place. Otherwise, I will be living in discord. And beneath that idea is the idea that I really don't deserve it. I'm not what I think I should be. And that totally ignores that spirit is what you are already. That's one Indian teacher said, what you are already. That's what we are, and we need to start living in light of that. And what we do, though, is we use resistance, struggle. I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to have help. I'm going to just let it go. And we use that in our lives. I knew a man once who all of his life had trouble driving. He really had a difficult time. And suddenly, through work with various practitioners, he no longer had the driving phobia. It was amazing. He could go anywhere with freedom. But after a while, he began to report that there was a problem with this, because until then, he had measured himself by how much courage he'd had to crank up to get in the car, by how difficult it was for him to do what he needed to do because he didn't like driving. He no longer had something to measure himself by. He used his resistance to measure his strength. And I would say a lot of people do indeed measure their strength, their individuality, stubbornness it's sometimes called, to measure their integrity. If you don't have to struggle, how would you know your own strength? Well, I'm suggesting one, stop looking for a fight to prove your strength. Stop trying to prove your strength by how strongly you can resist. Begin to ask for help, because that's how it works. That's what the conspiracy is doing. It's giving you, the one you imagine yourself to be, what you would call help, but it's just giving you itself. Ernest Holmes was asked, "Look, Ernest, what is this with prayer all the time? Do you pray for everything, even a loaf of bread?" And Ernest said, "Well, I really don't know for spirit whether it's any more difficult to produce a loaf of bread than it is to produce the peace of a planet. I just don't know. So if something comes up in my life that I apparently need or want or whatever, I give it to Spirit and ask it to create it, because I know for it, it's equally easy as anything else." Whatever's coming up in your life, the first place to turn is to Spirit, not to your ideas of what you have to do, not to your ideas of what you are, not to your sense of limitation or possibility. Turn to Spirit. Spirit is simply the rest of you. And I've talked about Spirit as a field, but Ralph Waldo Emerson had a different way of talking about it, very poetic. Man is a stream whose source is hidden. Our being is descending into us from we know not whence. I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin for events than the will I call mine. There's a lot in that little phrase. A stream whose source is hidden, we don't know where it's coming from, where that energy is coming from, except that it's coming from Spirit. Our being is descending into us continuously. And I'm constrained, I'm limited in every moment, that I must acknowledge a higher origin for everything that happens that is not something that I created through my will. This morning's talk is a call to join the conspiracy. That conspiracy that has all of us becoming increasingly free. So that nature itself, nature being, everything, all that is manifest, may become completely free. Completely free to unleash its energy without limitation of any kind. And know that the common good, the freedom from discord of any kind, when you are doing that, that's what you're releasing into being. The common good comes from you within, knowing your source, allowing it through, and having the vision of its reality and its possibility. If you'll join me in treatment. There is right now just one in this room. How amazing it is to know that there's one being here, one mind, and it's knowing itself in an infinite number of ways. For each person here is an infinite being, eternal. Always has been, always will be, and always is only that one itself in expression. God, the one itself, is living its life as each person here. It lives its life as each person here because it loves living as each person here. It not only loves that each person, but it loves being that person. So I speak this word in that awareness. And I accept that there is right now moving within each one of us a realization that is releasing us from hidden beliefs, past beliefs of what can and can't be, and is beginning to place us directly in that flow of that hidden stream of power, of peace, of ability, of energy that is continuously here, continuously available, and it is proceeding through us now consciously. And in that, we find out what to do, where to be, and most importantly, who we are, what we are. It is a joy to know that reality is this way and not some other way. That in fact, this is the truth of reality that we can rely on, and therefore we release this prayer, knowing that it is speaking of that which is already so, that is being done actively in this moment by that one that does everything, the divine one, and so it is.